Whether or not Aaron Donald is going to return for another season after the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. I want you to hear Donald talking on the I Am Athlete podcast, addressing his future. Listen.
I'm happy. I'm fine. I don't need to play. The thing is, I don't need to play football to be fine. Like I'm fine. Like I was blessed to play this game, to make the money I made, the accomplishments I made in 8 years is like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm complete. I'm like, if I can win another one, that's great. But if not, I'm at peace.
Wasn't that fascinating? We just saw him the other night. He was at Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. He looked unbelievably happy and relaxed. And Graziano, is this something we should be paying close attention to, that Aaron Donald could just decide to walk away?
I think it's worth paying attention to. I don't think it's a completely hollow threat. But what's going on with Aaron Donald and the Rams is they're discussing a new contract. He's got 3 years left on his contract. But when he signed it 4 years ago, he was the highest paid defensive player in the league. Now he's about the 6th or 7th if you just go by average salary. He's the best defensive player in the league, so obviously he thinks he should be making the most. And I think if the Rams can't get to that number, TJ Watt's at like $28, $29 million a year. I think if the Rams can't get past that, then, you know, he thinks about this. Look, he talked about how he always wanted to play 8 years. He's played 8 years. He's won a Super Bowl. If Aaron Donald retired tomorrow, what is his Hall of Fame career missing? Literally nothing. So I don't think it's a completely empty threat, but I do think the more likely outcome is that they get to a contract, him and the Rams on an extension.
But it is something fascinating to consider because, Lewis, I have to assume that would completely upend. That would have the impact on them that a quarterback retiring would have on most teams, right? Like there are very few players who have the impact that a quarterback does. Is Donald that significant?
Absolutely. Look, we haven't talked about the impact that a defensive player has had on his team the way we talk about Aaron Donald, maybe in forever, at least not in the time that I've been at ESPN since 2013. We've never talked about it that way, and deservedly so. Now, look, I'm one of those people who have always said, you know, contracts are supposed to be about projected future performance and not what you've done in the past. But here in this case, look, I think many people would say, well, this would be about what he's done in the past. Well, no, you know, look at Aaron Donald. Just look at his body. You saw he looked greeny when he came in that arena at the basketball game. You think going forward, he wouldn't still give you the performance that would really be worthy of paying him over $30 million per year? And really, I think that's what this is about at this point in time. I would not take his threats lightly. This is a very principled young man who understands exactly where he's at in life.
Yeah, we are in an era where a lot of players, Domonique, have retired from pro football sooner than we expected them to. When you make enough money that you have enough money, and as he clearly has, what do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he closed out the Super Bowl last year with his big plays. He closed out the NFC Championship. So I agree with Lewis. You don't want to pay guys on past performance. But if there is one guy who deserves it, it's Aaron Donald. And certainly he's going to keep going forward. You cannot take the best player, the best defensive player in all of football off of your team and expect to still be as highly rated as they expect to be. So if they plan on repeating or being competitive, they need to find a way to pay this man, because not only does he make plays for himself, but he makes plays for everybody around him. He's the best defensive player in football in the last decade plus. Probably more than that. So, yeah, they need to pay that man if they want to get back to the Super Bowl.
That's the video that we were just looking at there. Is he made the play that won, closed the NFC Championship game, and then the back-to-back plays that closed the Super Bowl. We're used to seeing those being game-winning touchdowns. But in the case of the Rams, they were game-winning stops by Aaron Donald.
He's the difference maker. You know, Sean McVay after the game said, in my head, I thought Aaron Donald was going to make a play, and he did. That's why you talk about affecting the game the way a quarterback does. He wants quarterback-level money, and he has earned it. So, look, I think this is an example of a player understanding his leverage, understanding his worth, and this, again, not an empty threat. I still don't think he ends up retiring, but I don't think it's 100%.